Okay, now we'll be talking about like the family dynamics and how that played a part in both the scene that we showed you and just like the story in general. It's significant to know that Helen's family is a southern family and Annie is from the north, and that's especially important considering that this story takes place right after the Civil War. So there's still a lot of tensions between like the north and south. And like a typical southern family was very patriarchal in the sense that the male or the man, the father of the house was like the breadwinner and should be like listened to and respected. And we see like very early on that Captain Keller, that's Helen's father, and that's how he's referred to in the story, has a lot of insecurity about people not really respecting him or listening to him. You know, this comes out not only in just like there's like some confusion or some disagreement on how they should go about raising Helen, but he has a son as well from like a previous marriage, and he has a lot of resentment toward his dad just because he remarried so quickly after the death of his original mother. So like the brother James is Helen's half brother, and you know, so there's a lot of tension between that. So on top of that, when Annie, a northerner, comes into their household and starts telling Captain Keller how he should raise his daughter, that he's been raising her wrong, that makes him very upset, and he even gets to the point where he almost tries to fire Annie, but she's able to convince him to let her stay, and luckily, because of that, Helen was able to have a breakthrough. Especially with Helen's mother, Kate, but it's really true with a lot of the family members. A lot of them don't really see Helen as, again, like as I touched on this earlier, as capable of achieving intelligence or even enlightenment. You know, they are hopeful that she can learn basic manners because she kind of looks untidy. You know, she kind of flails all over the place. She takes food from everyone's plate. You know, she doesn't really resemble a civilized girl, and they're hopeful that that can be accomplished. But something that's really significant with what Annie wants to achieve versus what the family thinks is possible is higher intelligence. You know, Annie wants her to learn language. She thinks that that's how she can be connected with the rest of the world. You think of like language in general, and what's so fundamentally human is to want to understand and to be understood, and we accomplish that a lot through language, and that's like how we express ourselves. So that's, and as Annie, a formerly blind person herself, that kind of really makes sense that she would understand that that would be important to Helen. But there's a lot of conflict between Annie and the rest of the family just because they keep coddling her and they refuse to change. But prior to the scene that we showed you, it was kind of like a breakthrough for the family because Annie was brought back to dinner. She'd been away from her parents and away from her family, so she could be taught strictly by Annie without any distractions. And she started acting up again, started like testing the family pretty much to see if they would tolerate that. And while initially, throughout the entire novel, they did, Annie was able to talk them through letting her take her to the water pump and let her learn, basically. Discipline her and believe in her ability, and because you believe in her ability, you're going to not tolerate when she acts anything less. You know, the son James even stood up to his father in this moment and kind of told him like that he should be reflective and recognize that he can be wrong and it's okay to be wrong. So it's kind of interesting to see how through Annie, not only did Helen learn and develop, but the family did as well, and they kind of grew more because of that.